Someone said, "Why am I going to pay $500 for a picture of a hobo?"
I always thought Kyle Beckerman was a good player.
Fire sticking their foot in it.
They said they were going to cut my food rations.
Cork soaking.
There is no possible way to articulate the malaise, the lack of ambition, the way it's felt for so long to be a fan better than he did. Welcome all you All-Stars to the Enemies of the Fire podcast. This week, we are diving into the Major League Soccer All-Star Game against the League of MX All Stars. We have all sorts of Olympic madness to talk about, and Leagues Cup and the Fire, to be or not to be. So, I am FC Neo Tokyo. This is James. This is DPG. And gentlemen, how are we this week?
Doing pretty good in the middle of summer, but that U.S. Olympics game was left a little to be desired for Marko Mitrovic and the boys.
That was a big dud. It was a big dud today, gentlemen. So I guess we're gonna jump into that here. The U.S. men's national team lost 3-0 to France at the Olympics.
The Olympic, make it clear, it's the Olympic U.S. men's national team, not.
You're right. Is the Olympic men's national team U23s, with the exception of Miles Robinson, Walker Zimmerman, and Mihalovic, which we will get to that decision shortly. DPG, did you see the game today? It was during work hours.
I did not. I actually watched the scoreline. I'm like, oh, not surprised. It's France. You know, much better youth setup than us. So,
but when they said Lacazette, I was like, oh, it's game over.
Yeah,
I put in the group chat, I was like, is that like ex-Arsenal Monaco, or not Monaco, but Leon Lacazette, or is this like some new kid?
No, that's a legit Arsenal one. Like, it's like they have the luxury of getting players from your youth team from Arsenal, the top teams in the world. I mean, we're lucky to even scrape the bottom of the barrel for MLS. So
I would not say that, but I mean, most countries have to pull from their domestic league for youth national teams. And really, I mean, we have better kids that are under 21, but they're not. Do you want Gio Reyna in this tournament? You know what I mean?
Why not?
Why, you know what?
Why not have three of our best players in the tournament? Oh, I guess they already.
The problem is that you bring those guys in, and then they lose 3-0 to France. Then it just makes it worse. So,
well, let's talk about that real quick.
I understand. I don't understand why they didn't bring a real striker like Lacazette.
Well, I mean,
who do they have?
They got
Josh
turned
Sargent?
down to bring. Yeah, Josh Sargent. Well, who started today? Did
Malik
he start?
Malik Tillman. I thought he plays mid now.
So they wanted Ricardo Pepi. They got turned down by PSV.
Of course.
Of course.
I mean,
that's a project. That's a project. You know, you kind of can't really.
Yeah, he's trying to get his footing in a bigger role in that club. I don't know, man. It's tough. We don't really have a striker. That's kind of been our main issue. I mean, Balogun's young enough to have gone to this tournament.
I think what you're trying to say is we don't have a quality striker that we can use for a U23 team.
No,
right?
but hold on. Back in 2008, everybody was so creaming their panties because we brought Brian McBride. And now looking back, Brian McBride forced Josie Altidore and Charlie Davies on the bench. Was that the right decision? You know what I mean? Like, so sometimes it's why even bother with the overage players?
I'm not going to cry over spilled milk, you know, especially from something that happened 10 years ago, right? At this point, it's like the one thing that we have issues with and that we cannot seem to fix is these youth setups for between the U17 and the U23, right? We cannot fix that. I don't know why we cannot fix that. It's
I can tell you right now what happened today. And that's this team is still playing bear halter ball because they couldn't change fast enough. They're still playing bear halter ball, and you saw what happened with bear halter ball.
I get that, but I always feel situations like this is much deeper than just bear halter ball. I think this is more or less issues within the core of U.S. Soccer Federation, period. All right.
I have a question,
I'm
guys.
Yeah.
If the coaches were changed, if Thierry Henry was coaching the Americans and Marko Mitrovic was coaching the French, would we have seen the same result?
Absolutely.
Probably. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you don't think Thierry Henry is the answer, is what you're saying?
Absolutely not. That's
I
scary.
think, like we talked about this before. We just we mentioned how youth setup in this country is just trash. Unless you got money to pay, good luck trying to get scouted by somebody. It ain't like we're in Europe where you could be 13, 14 years old, you're playing really good, and one of the big club teams were like, hey, you know what? You're playing really good. We'll give you a contract. You could go to school, do whatever, train with our youth teams. That's it. We'll pay you to play for us, not I'll pay you to play for your team, so to speak. So,
well, I mean, that begs the question: do we have high level talent that we're missing? And then
I think honestly, and we talked about this before. How you've seen guys playing Chicago street ball that turn out to be really good and whatnot. And I think a lot of times we let a lot of talent just slip through our fingers because for whatever circumstances that individual has, whether it's financial or just resources, and we're letting a lot of talent grow, especially for a country that has 350 million people. We can produce basketball players, you can produce baseball players, you can produce football players, but there's a disconnect when it comes to soccer.
And I don't really get why, because America does fine in hockey. Hockey arenas are hard to come by. Hockey equipment's like $3,000 a kid. It's very expensive.
Yeah, talk about
sport.
pay to play.
But yet, they still USA figures it out there. But another goal for Liga MX.
We'll touch on that in the next segment.
You're getting just let MLS
that be.
Is getting destroyed. Is Liga MX better than MLS?
Nah, next segment.
All
next
right.
segment.
Either way, at the end of the day, this Olympic team is not going to go anywhere. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's going to blow up on our face like it always does. When it comes to youth teams, it just blows up. That's when everybody goes into panic mode. And I told you that, let me tell you guys something. The Honduran U20 team, if you guys ever know where, it's right now the U20 CONCACAF U20 qualifier is going on right now.
Had no idea.
Yeah, they had no idea, right? But they have qualified 4 straight, to these U20 tournaments. 4 straight. The U.S. is like missing some. It's like up and down with the U.S. youth teams. It's just you might miss 1 year, you might make it the next, you might miss 1 year. It's never been like a consistent thing.
Well, that's what they talked about is why we missed out on 2018, right? Is because we missed like 2 straight Olympics there. Remember that Sean Johnson howler at the death against Panama or Honduras or somebody?
It was Honduras, bro. Honduras has knocked out the U.S. Olympic team so many times. I lost count already, and it's embarrassing. But then again, it just shows, who wants it the most. So there you go.
I thought I heard that the U.S. has not been in the Olympics soccer since 2008.
Correct. The last moment of U.S. soccer enjoyment in the Olympics, we were playing a tough game against I forget who, and then Michael Orozco Fiscal decided to like double dragon spin elbow destroy somebody in the face, and then we ended up losing. But
Moadu, Stu Holden, those guys were a part of that team.
Oh, that was a stacked Olympic team.
Yeah.
Like I just talked about, we thought we were so brilliant bring Brian McBride, and we're holding Josie Altidore and Charlie Davies back. Like the overage plays. And that again, so if I can just spit this out about today, the team played bear halter ball. They give up, so they hit the post a couple times, believe it or not. The U.S. kind of had the better of the chances despite France having the better of the play. And then France gets a dagger. And they score a goal, and the U.S. instead of wilt really pushed. They hit the post twice. They're pushing, and they got hit on the counter. And then boom, the third one goes in because they're devastated, right?
Look, man, if it doesn't go in, it doesn't count.
Well, I feel you, but it like as much as they didn't look
Look,
amazing, they were a bit unlucky.
You know what
today.
you sound like? You know what you sound like? You sound like a U.S. men's national team fan from like 2009 or 2010. I'm sorry. Oh my God! Did you see that? We hit the post. Wow, we were almost there.
No, but like to ignore like what vibes do to a game is to ignore the sport itself. You know, we don't stop the fucking clock. This whole sport is built on vibes.
Nobody remembers. Nobody remembers. You know, that one good game the U.S. had, 7 years ago
against Brazil.
Against Brazil. Nobody remembers that.
I feel you, but what the
point
I'm getting at is,
you know what they do remember is when you get a gold medal, or a silver medal or a bronze medal. And that's what gets remembered.
I mean, the Olympics, I don't really care. I think the best part about the Olympics to me is that you will never dethrone like a Weston McKennie and James brought up in the group chat today that Tyler Adams is having surgery. And it's about time to wonder, is Tyler Adams just kind of done being Tyler Adams? And but you'll never unseat those guys unless other people get playing time. So the Olympics is there for Busio, for Tessman, for the one of the whichever Aronson showed up. You know what I mean? That's what this tournament is for, is to play those guys. And it's almost like, who cares what the results are? Let's see what these guys can do.
I'm looking at the coaches. I'm looking at Thierry Henry, and you know what? Today I hear an endorsement of Thierry Henry for U.S. Soccer. At least one more so than what I'm seeing here from Wilfred Nancy, as far as taking a hodgepodge of talent. I would rate Thierry Henry as probably better for a national team setup than a Wilfred Nancy at the moment, based upon these results.
I thought Patrick Gray was like the leading candidate.
He is.
He's gonna be the candidate. Thierry Henry is bad at coaching and is like, I played in MLS. These Americans think I'm good at soccer.
Right.
They're gonna give me this job. I think that's really what's going on. He wants the job because he of course you want the fucking job.
Are we talking the U.S. men's national team segment now, or what's up? Because I already talked about candidates and stuff. So,
dude.
Look, man, you took a 3-0 loss against France. That's it. We have not figured it out yet. There's no such thing as a golden generation. If you want, like I said before, you want a golden generation, maybe in the future when we win the World Cup, that's going to be your golden generation. Not now, not the next 4 years, because I don't see this team winning the the World Cup in 2026. All right. Maybe in another 8 years, 12 years, maybe. But
I mean, it takes time. Like, I don't know why everybody thinks that like America, just because we're big, should be great at a sport we didn't give a shit about for while everybody has for 200 years. You know what I mean? Like,
what golden generation, what self-proclaimed golden generation has really ever won? Usually, it's a golden generation that's that other people recognize. Like when France was running amok, they had a golden generation for that World Cup.
Individually, those players were amazing. You got your Henry, you got Fabian Barthez, you had Frank Leboeuf. You had an amazing starting 11.
So when they talk about golden generation, though, for USA, though, it's just not this. And same thing for England. Like they keep talking about this golden generation, which it's just kind of weird.
Listen, England could never find a way to get Gerrard and Lampard on the field at the same time.
I never hear Spain talking about their golden generation, and look how many tournaments they've won.
England. Every World Cup for England is the golden generation.
Yeah.
And it just sucks because they don't realize how low in the totem pole there are.
The problem with the golden generation. That's what you title this one.
Dude, they're completely like. I think golden generation has lost all meaning because we saw this Belgian team with all these individually great players. And it flopped so hard, even though everybody wanted to anoint them the golden generation. That now
argument. Yes.
Everybody is anointing people based on talent. And I don't care what some of those old old heads want to say, right now we have the most talented soccer players who have ever existed as Americans.
So a golden generation.
So far,
this is
you
not,
are correct.
So far, this is not a golden generation, okay? And I've said this a million times, all right? You can even say Italy in the early 2000s, you know, they were great. They just couldn't get it together until 2006 when they won the World Cup finally. You know, Germany had its little brief, you know, 2014 world-winning team, which, you know, great.
Was that Germany's golden generation?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
oh God, you're gonna get me canceled for talking about Germany.
So the myth of the golden generation is not it's not a myth for the people who don't really talk about it, but it's like for the people for the nations that talk about it.
Yeah,
it is a myth.
You don't realize it's a golden generation until it's over. Look at Spain.
Yes.
With that and Iniesta. Why am I blanking on everybody's name? Puyol. But no, that midfield.
Xavi.
It was Xavi, Iniesta. I mean, unbelievable.
Shakira's ex-boyfriend or
PK.
Ex-husband.
But either way, it's weird because at this point, you can almost say that Brazil always has a golden generation, or maybe up to recently, but they always have teams that could compete, and they will take you to the limit.
What was that cat's name? Donko, whatever the coach.
Donnie
Darko? Was a player for. No, the cat that coached Brazil in the 2010s.
Dunga. No, not Dunga.
Dunga.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, Dunga, you were
Dunga.
right. And they had all that flair and talent, and he made them play Jose Mourinho ball. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the thing is, man, it's like, I know, back in 2018, people were excited about this U.S. men's national team because we had just gone through a tragedy of not going to Russia 2018. So
we had trauma.
Yeah, we were trauma. We're like, oh my God, that's the light at the end of the tunnel. But the thing is that I predict that the one day that we will have that golden generation that's going to win the World Cup or won the World Cup, it's going to be when our lineup, you have guys that are playing like in Arsenal, Man City, Barcelona, Bayern Munich.
See, you'll have 2 or 3 of those guys. You know what? Look at all these World Cup winners. You'll have 2 or 3 of those guys, but then you'll have guys who are like the right back of Crystal Palace.
Hold on. And when I say Arsenal and all those teams, I'm not talking about guys that are sitting on the bench. I'm talking about regular starters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, regular actual contributing starters.
Exactly. So, that's when we have that happen to the U.S. men's national team. When we have a core group of players that are doing that on a weekly basis in their respective league and teams.
So Serie A is not good enough. It's.
No, I said Juventus.
We want Liga. We want La Liga, and we want
La Liga, Premier League. If it's France, it has to be PSG or one of the top 3 teams. Bayern Munich, Dortmund. Man, you better be like on a Dortmund team that's like competing with Bayern Munich, not the one that goes and finishes 5th place.
Do you think an American will ever play for Real Madrid, and will it be Pulisic?
No.
Well, yes and no.
Yes,
and then no. Pulisic is finding his lane. He is he's like the white guy that like salt is spicy to him. So for Italy, he is the most exciting winger on the planet, and that's where he needs to stay.
The thing too is that we're talking about these big club teams. We don't know where these teams are going to be at, 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. It could be another different set of teams that are like.
Right, Man City was not what they used.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the thing. We had Claudio Reyna at Man City before Man City was Man City.
Yeah, and now Man City is one of the biggest clubs in the world.
So just things to think about.
So I think we've dissected the U.S. men's national team enough. That's kind of part of our brand. But sticking with the Olympics, I want to ask you, gentlemen, did you see what sporting event kicked off this year's Olympics? It was Argentina versus Morocco. And DPG, are you aware of what happened?
I heard it was a VAR call that took forever. And
2
considering
hours?
I just
So peep this. This is what happened. All right. So Morocco playing a good game is up 2-1, nearing the 90th minute. And now I didn't watch this whole thing or nothing. I worked from home today, so anyway. So out of nowhere, when you probably could have only given like 2, 3, 5 minutes of added time, they gave 14 minutes of added time.
is there a reason why?
I don't know. I didn't see one.
Okay.
So then Argentina proceeds to score in the 90th plus 16 minute. And so they start celebrating, and Moroccan and French fans, obviously, yeah, you can thank Enzo Fernando for this, for their anthem being booed, by the way.
That's right.
They were booing the Argentinian anthem. But so fans were pissed. So they were throwing shit. Fans got on the field, X, Y, and Z. So technically, everybody thought that was the end of the whistle. 90 plus 16, they score, it's tied, right? No, actually, the game was stopped. And then they cleared the field of people. Then they cleared the stadium. And so within 2 hours, they clear the stadium. VAR makes the call that the goal was offside. And they come back 2 hours later and play 2 or 3 minutes and finish out the game, and Morocco wins 2-1.
So this is this is basically a joke. The fact that this had to happen. I don't know if these Olympic refs are new to VAR, or I don't know what kind of system VAR is running, or I'm sorry, the Olympic committee is running, but it's a disgrace that it took you that long to figure out that it was offsides.
No, I think it was figured out quickly. I think what took forever was they were going to clear, because of the people who entered the field, they were clearing the stadium to play in front of no one.
You know what? Well, you know what? You could thank Enzo Fernandez for that, and the Argentine national team for that. And
also, a sidebar, real quick sidebar. Why the fuck have we not heard who else was singing in the bus with him? Anyway, go ahead.
Wait, so what did this guy do? Because they were
Messi damn sure tweeted out a picture of him like at home, like a couple hours later, like, I took private jet, no bus.
Oh man, he had an alibi. He could.
Yeah, exactly. Messi tweeted that alibi, baby. Anyway, James, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Oh, I don't even remember right now.
No, but here's the thing, man. It's just you can't do stuff like that, man. Oh my! It's embarrassing, and the worst part is that like the president from Argentina is like so defiant. He's like telling he's like telling him, don't apologize.
Yeah, no, he's a real piece of shit. So anyway, I mean, personally, I like VAR to get things right, and I do not.
Yes.
The one thing I don't like is this like total freak out about how we can't have it take long. But like, it can't take 2 hours. Like, just call VAR, call it. Like, if it takes 5 minutes, takes 5 minutes, and then do the right thing. The goal was offside. Argentina sucks, and like, it was the added time itself was bullshit to begin with. It really felt like, let's play until Argentina scores. So that's where I'm kind of like, I'm happy that this nonsense happened, because it really felt like, let's play until Argentina scores. And so it felt good that Morocco ended up with this win.
Morocco's been good at soccer too.
Morocco is it's like one of those silent powerhouses from Africa. It's they can give you a surprise.
They did
I
well
think
in the last
we're coming
World Cup.
close to entering an era of African soccer that we all should be afraid of, to be perfectly honest with you.
No, you're not. Hey, I completely agree with you on that, man. It's like, you got Salah in Egypt. You got the Moroccan, Olympic team that's probably going to get prepped up for the national team duty after the
And then you already have the Ivory Coast.
Oh, my God. You got Nigeria.
And then Nigeria.
Ivory Coast.
Ghana. You've got some
heavy hitters, man.
And they're only getting better too.
Before
they were very
that Ghana wasn't
like
as great as it was. You remember Michael Essien?
Oh my God, Michael Essien, the AU brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I thought, the Ghana used to be super good.
They are a little bit down, but like again, you're seeing the squads like round out. You know, you used to have like the 4 or 5 superstars that carried the like farmers. And now you're seeing these squads rounded out where this guy's at Celtic, this guy's at Crystal Palace.
I was gonna say, yeah, exactly. You have like your 5 superstars, and you have everybody else that's playing in the same league as they are, just not in the bigger teams.
Yeah, exactly. Or like, they're still at this team in the second division, but that's because they yo-yo with the team. They're not bouncing, things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? That's never a bad thing. Like if you're playing for a mid-table Premier League team, I mean, especially if you're like the star of the team, you're basically the fortunes of that team depend on that player.
So James, I got one last question before we end the segment. Is this going to be the wildest thing we see, or are we going to see any more craziness from this Olympics? Or are we going to look back and this was the big incident?
What?
This whole 2 hours between VAR. Do you think we're going to see any more madness?
Well, basketball hasn't started yet, and they don't have Caitlin Clark to cause a spectacle, so maybe
so
something will happen there. And
you're thinking more like the Olympics overall, because I have heard
fabricated. I am. But I mean, here's the thing: we know soccer. We know that emotions get high and heated, but who really cares about this tournament? Like, I don't know if the passion is there for this tournament as it is for the Copa America, as it is for the Euros.
Well, this is more or less kind of a staging ground for a lot of these young players that I get picked up by European teams. So
yeah, some people are gonna watch, but I don't think it's gonna have that same oomph. But maybe there's gonna be another incident there on the ground. That's
because if you think about it, you can't really use like a U23 squad for Copa America.
And think about it. You just said they're all kids. These are all young kids. So they're gonna do stupid things. So do I expect more stupid things to happen? Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So it's this is probably like the best.
Oh my God, you brought up the kids. I can't believe I didn't even mention this. The 3 overage players for the U.S. played the worst today. By the way,
really,
Georgie,
Zimmerman,
Walker, and Miles. And I hate to say this out loud, but I feel like the Miles Robinson experience is over, and I hope he has a career that looks like Iko Paras, because I don't think he's leaving MLS. No, I'm being serious. Like, he's not the same player. He's not the same player since the injury. Like, before the injury, there was no problem with him being on the senior squad. He was playing well enough to prove his spot.
Who can you thank for that injury?
Isn't it Atlanta's turf?
Who was the team that they were playing against?
Oh, that was against the Fire, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh. Just bad luck follows them anywhere they go.
What about Walker Zimmerman? You said he didn't play particularly well. He's playing against kids. Like, has this pushed him off the team too? Georgie was never going to make the team unless he.
I think this was his last summer anyway. He peaked and he had his moment, and I had no problems with him on the team. But I think he's starting to regress while we're also seeing people like Chris Richards grow. And I feel like yes, he's becoming the secondary and tertiary option at center back. Always a good day when you can use the word tertiary.
Look, man. Like guys like Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, they only play good when they're playing against CONCACAF teams. You take them out to Europe, and this goes for most of the USMNT national team, because when they face real competition, it's like they get punched in the mouth and they don't know what to do. So
I feel you. All right, well, gentlemen, this was perfect timing because the All-Star game just ended, and we are coming right back talking all things the MLS All Star Game.
Be right back after these messages from Enemies of the Fire. Put that like button to midfield.
Welcome back to the Enemies of the Fire podcast. The boys are here. We're talking all things MLS All Stars. The game just ended just moments ago, and MLS got worked 4-1. Gentlemen, how do you feel about that?
I'm wondering if Liga MX, if Mexican national team, people who are fans of the Mexican national team should be demanding more out of the Mexican national team based upon what we saw from Liga MX. Because right now, the Mexican national team is in total tatters. It seems like they're a disappointment. They're not putting things together. But what I just saw from Liga MX, which has to have a host, a cavalcade of Mexican players at its disposal, that's making the league as good as it is to where we saw, what a product. What a great product. And it makes me wonder why it's not translating.
You know, one of the main cogs of the machine of that team tonight was a Frenchman, correct?
Oh, who's it? Gignac?
Yeah, Gignac. He's been playing he's been playing there for like 10 years.
Mm-hmm. Dude, you know what?
He went to the World Cup in 2010 and said, "Screw it, I'm going
to exactly." And he was still getting called up by the French national team. You know,
I know. That's why I tell you guys that whole if he plays in MLS, I don't want him.
He's 38 years old. Andre Pierre Christian Gignac. He's played for Unal Tigre since 2015.
You're comparing apples and oranges, my friend.
You think?
You know, Liga MX has no salary cap.
Really?
Yeah, but does it? Well, but hold on, gentlemen.
They also have teams that don't play their players, though.
I would like to. So the game itself was just like, hold on. So we're going layers. The game itself, it was kind of fun. It was back and forth, right? Yeah. A lot of shots, a lot of hit the post, a lot of this, that, and the other, a lot of goals. The next stage over, Liga MX is better than MLS, and I will tell you though, if it was like a video game and you didn't care about stamina and you just kept the starting 11 in, it would be really close. Where Liga MX spends its money and kills you is spots number 12 through 25. That's where they still have the much upper hand. 1 through 11, they're extremely close. That's why, like, you saw Leagues Cup play out how it did last year. But, like, when you start getting into, like, serious, like, subs coming off the bench, CONCACAF Champions League, that's where they always pull ahead and win in the end.
And that's not to say that MLS teams cannot be just individual MLS teams cannot be just as competitive as Liga MX teams. There's certain teams in MLS that can compete against Liga MX teams. Clearly, the Fire's not one of them. So
definitely. But so does this actually like mean anything? Does MLS take an L tonight?
Yeah.
No.
To you guys?
I mean,
it's not the CONCACAF Champions League. I use that as a measuring stick. You know, the CONCACAF Champions League is the measuring stick of the region. I don't think this All-Star game, using 11 guys that don't play with each other and play against each other on a weekly basis is going to make a difference. So
it's a fun showcase.
I think it could have just as easily been 4-1 the other direction. Because the same thing for the Liga MX All Stars is that it's just a group of guys. Like, honestly, it's just a group of guys playing a group of. It's a pickup game. It's the funnest of pickup games. Like, but
I wonder if you could get anything from the coaching. Like, if what goes into what made this game, why Liga MX is because of their coaching. I wonder if it is, and maybe that's a knock on.
No, Wilfred Nancy plays. He plays exclusively with three center backs. He didn't do that tonight. Mm-hmm. He played basically a 4-4-1-1.
They're in Columbus, though, so they are in his home stadium. He should be comfortable.
They are, but he didn't play his game. He played what he had in front of him. And I like I said, it was a pure pickup game. It could have gone the other way. Now, I remember the days. Like, James and I, we remember the East-West games.
Oh, I remember those, yeah.
But after that, we went into the, like, we had to prove ourselves category. We started inviting Tottenham and Chelsea and all these other bullshit teams over. And like, I hated those All-Star games because it was just crazy. Like, it was no win. If MLS won, it was the other team was in preseason. If MLS lost, they were suckers. They suck.
The crazy thing is that I do miss the East-West versus West games because those games were wild, man. You had like I think one game one year it was like 6. The scoreline was 6-6.
That's the kind of game you want.
2001, 6-6, MLS West versus East. Yes.
Yeah, that was. I think that was Landon Donovan's like coming out party game type of thing.
And then they took on the U.S. men's national team.
Really?
Yeah, it says MLS All Stars versus the United States in 2002.
Wow.
Oh, you know what it is? I think it could have been two things. It could have been I don't remember if it was the U.S. men's national team or it was just the U.S. men's national team MLS-based players.
Oh, like MLS versus the world type of thing.
They already did that. They did
US
that in
versus the
'98.
world. Okay.
USA versus the world. They did do that already. And then the next year after MLS All Stars versus United States, which actually we could just take a look at the game. I mean, I could open it up. Let's
honestly. So what's your favorite format for this, DPG?
I think we have to go East versus West, man.
Really?
I think we have to go back to that. I think the whole let's prove ourselves to the rest of the world stuff it's overrated and overplayed out.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly we're not doing what the rest of the world does. I always feel like MLS is like an experimental test bed for FIFA. So,
it can be, and it likes to be because it puts it more in the zeitgeist, like as much shit as everybody wants to talk about MLS, guess what? Most of the world knows MLS exists. I don't know the name of the Swedish league. I don't know the name of the Swiss league.
You know why? It's because they use their sponsor's name on
okay, but still.
Can I read this to you guys?
Saying,
Let me read this to you guys.
What?
So the MLS All Stars defeated members of the United States national team 3-2 in front of 31,000 fans at RFK Stadium.
Oh, that must have been like the victory lap after the 2002 World Cup.
Here's the USA team, and then I'll read the MLS team first, actually, and then I'll read the USA team. MLS, Tim Howard, and Joe Cannon were the goalkeepers. Okay. Joe Cannon came in the second half.
The MLS All Stars?
This is the MLS All Stars.
Because that's when Tim Howard was a Metro Star.
On the other side, you had Tony Meola and Jurgen Sommer, who were playing for USA.
What? Jurgen Sommer? That must have been like
2002.
Okay, that must have been like his last year, because man.
So all right, back to MLS. You had Ryan Suarez, Mike Petke, Carlos Bocanegra. Wow, Mulrooney got to re-enter the game. People got to re-enter the game.
Wow, Mulrooney, wow.
So people
got these names.
Wow. So Steve Ralston, Richard Mulrooney.
Steve Ralston.
A name I haven't heard in so long.
Carlos Valderrama, Demo Kovalenko, Mark Chung, Taylor Twellman, and Carlos Ruiz.
Oh,
those were the MLS players. That's a good MLS team.
Yeah, what's up, man?
You know what I turned James on to before we recorded tonight?
Yeah.
What's up?
Ricardo Clark kicking the shit out of Carlos
Ruiz.
Yeah.
right in the family jewels, right?
No, it was like in his chest.
Oh, yeah.
His arm
chest. There's a picture of him taking a kick from CJ Brown, I think.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, so yeah, CJ Brown was kicking somebody in the nuts. Yeah, I remember that one.
Even the expression on Carlos Ruiz is like.
What did they call him? El Pescadito? Was it? Is that the fish?
Little fish.
Yeah. That MLS team is stacked. I mean, Valderrama, Kovalenko, Chung at the top of his powers.
The crazy thing is that midfield is led by Steve Ralston.
I mean, Ralston's one of those guys, like he was never a national team guy, but he's a league legend.
Chris Klein. Chris Klein's listed. Ariel Graziani, Wade Barrett. Joselito Vaca. Marco Echeverri and Jason Kreis were also part of that MLS team.
Scoring goals, baby.
So the USA team. Let me tell you about this USA team. I already mentioned Tony Meola, Jurgen Sommer. Then you got Eddie Pope.
Yes.
Who was replaced by Alexi Lalas in the second half.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Mister. I came back from retirement to play for LA Galaxy.
Pope and Lalas. Carlos Lamosa.
I remember him.
Jamosa, yeah.
He played in MLS too, didn't he?
Yeah, DC United.
Calros.
Okay, thank
It
you.
says Calros. It's not Carlos. It's Calros. Maybe that's a typo.
Typo.
Chris Henderson, also part of the U.S. men's national team setup.
Yeah, I remember Chris Henderson.
Jeff Agus or Jeff Agus.
Jeff Agus. Agus? You don't know Agus, man?
Agus.
Holy hell, man.
Chad Deering.
Ooh, wow.
Kobe Jones.
Kobe Jones, okay.
Brian Masonueve.
Masonoff? Brian Masonoff?
Yeah, Brian Masonoff.
Man, bro, we were really scraping the bottom of the barrel for this
this team is not as good as the MLS team that I was just reading the name from.
No.
Oh, God, no.
Pablo Mastroeni.
Okay, yeah.
Preki.
Okay.
Preki, yeah.
Mike Burns. DeMarcus Beasley.
Man, hold on. I'll be right back.
And Landon Donovan and Brian McBride.
Good Lord. So, what a fun game. I love
and they got beat. Steve Ralston buried the shot in the 81st minute for the winner.
I love those old MLS names, man. It's so good to hear some of those again. So, James, what's your favorite setup for this whole All-Star Game thing? Or should it even exist?
Okay, so MLS USA versus the Worlds, I don't think you could sometimes make good enough team for both sides. MLS East-West, that is a good format. I do like that. I am not a fan of bringing in the club team. Dude, I don't want to bring in the Guadalajara, Chelsea, Fulham, Celtic, West Ham, Everton, Manchester United, Roma. I don't want to bring in Bayern, Tottenham, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, any of these. Arsenal. I do really like the Liga MX MLS showcase. I
agree. Honestly, I feel like they should move it to the end of the season, just the week after the end of the season.
Well, it depends when Liga MX is playing too.
You're right. I'd love for it to be at the end of both seasons and you get like a true best 11. You know what I mean? Going up against a true best 11. But yeah, I'm with you. My number one, I think this is my favorite setup for this. But to be honest, we have enough teams now to do East-West.
There is. So instead of just having 18 to 22 players of the best MLS, you could have that doubled. You could have the top 40 or so of the MLS. But I actually think the less is better. It's more special. Having the top 20,
you're right,
top 22 of MLS is better than having the top 40. And having the top 20 of Liga MX playing them, that is another. I love it.
No,
I think it's fun.
It's so much fun. I like that
they
format
cared.
the best.
You could see that both teams were trying. They didn't want to get dogged by the other team, so there's a little pride at play. It looks like they're having fun. They're not really trying to injure each other. It looks like it could go that way sometimes, but it looks like they were all out there having fun.
Yeah, it was fun, but they played hard. You know what I mean? That's what makes a good game. I don't know. I'm a fan of this format. If you're gonna do an All-Star game, this is the way to do it, because as much as I hate Leagues Cup, and we will get to that, I promise you today we are talking about that. As much as I hate Leagues Cup, I do think the future of Major League Soccer is intertwined with Liga MX. And I don't feel like we need to merge leagues. We need to be La Liga and EPL of the Western Hemisphere.
Yes. And they don't exactly have a relationship so much as they're looked to as the dominant leagues of their respective areas.
I would like to see more player movement between the two. I'd like to see the CONCACAF Champions League taking...
Do you really see a lot of EPL to La Liga? I feel like we see a lot of La Liga to EPL.
Well, I was going to say Gundogan, he went from Man City to... why am I blanking? Was it Madrid? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You see it. You see guys go back and forth. And, you know, when Messi and Ronaldo were both in La Liga, it was better than the EPL. Yes. Right now, EPL is better than La Liga. But that stuff changes, man. Yes. And I would like that kind of dynamic flow. If I had my wish, you would consider MLS the top, the sixth best league. Because you'll never usurp the top five. But I would love to see MLS be the #1 league in the Western Hemisphere.
Yes,
over
that's
Brazil,
possible.
over Argentina, over Mexico. I want nothing more. That would be success, in my opinion.
You are
you know,
definitely
everybody
not
wants us
there
to
yet, but
no, and people even want us to be the EPL. Like, I don't. That's cool and all, but like, let's incremental steps. It would be so dope if this was by far the best league in the Western Hemisphere. If you wanted to live over in the Western Hemisphere, you instantly wanted to be in MLS. That would be my goal.
I wonder if there's also a slight problem with MLS inherently that European leagues don't happen to have. It's this promotion relegation pressure that the players feel to have to be able to play their best game in, game out, where in MLS, you can slag a quarter of the season, X amount of games, game here, back to back. You could slag games, where in the EPL, if you're slagging a game, you're relegated.
And you're missing. You're going down a slot.
And I wonder if that
time.
type of environment's just it's just more beneficial for the better players. But how do you get the MLS to buy into that type of thinking? Where does that come into it?
You don't. Every other, like we've talked about this before, every other league on the planet desperately trying to figure out how to make their league like MLS.
Closed.
In all the ways we hate. Honestly. Like they want that NFL
relegation. More, it's safer for the owners who are buying into it, right? They want less volatility, and in some ways, it's actually safer for some of these communities too, because then some of them aren't plunged into vicious amounts of debt after getting relegated.
I'm with you. I guess to wrap this back around. The All-Star Game, there was a time in life when I really wanted this league to be better, and I desperately hated getting clowned online for liking the league. I constantly hated the league getting clowned in the world sphere. I hated seeing teams like Bayern come and beat us up on our All-Star. Oh, this is the best you have? It's like, well, yeah, they don't play together. I'm sick. I was sick of all that. And to be honest, that's why I'm less angry than some other people about the league now. It's just I'm enjoying the ride. Things are so much better than they've ever been.
Even
to
with
be
them
an MLS
losing,
fan.
Even with them losing to Liga MX,
100%.
You were asking me if it's gonna hit them, and yes and no. It's not really, because this is just a showcase of the best players, and really it was a delightful showcase. And guess what? MLS is leaning into it. They're celebrating Liga MX's win, and that is honorable. That's good. And guess what that's gonna do? It's gonna drum this up for next time, and maybe this starts growing into something really, really fun here. And then, as you said, maybe then we're getting some of these Liga MX transfers over here, and then maybe we're bringing a couple more Mexican players over here, and then all of a sudden more MLS players are going over there, and then maybe we become the more desirable league of the of this. I don't know if we're gonna really compete with Brazil.
You don't think? I mean, I think Brazil, the only thing they have going for them is just the wealth of talent that comes up.
So maybe but if you snipe them eventually.
But if you start sniping them at 17 to MLS opposed to overseas, and even so, they've been so overvalued, they're starting to ship less players over. That's true. We're seeing the instant impact of it on the Brazilian national team. Richarlison is a good player, really, really good player. But if you ever told me when I first started watching soccer and saw Fat Ronaldo and Ronaldinho and Robinho and Adriano and every other motherfucker, and you told Kaká, it just if you told me that team that Richarlison would start for a Brazilian national team, I would tell you were crazy. And now, every team has its ebb and flows, ups and downs, But I mean, Brazil has never been the same since getting smacked 7-1 in their own home.
You think that Richarlison's a part of the? I thought he was good enough. I thought he was.
I mean, he's good, but when you first started watching soccer and Fat Ronaldo and Ronaldinho, put your mind from that era into this era. Is Richarlison a number one starter in your brain? No, you're no, they got to have somebody better than that.
Well, he's not playing for Real Madrid, is he?
I mean, it's wild. Like like I said, it's wild. Anyway, to wrap up, like I said, All-Star doesn't really mean anything. It's just a fun time. Let's just have some fun. We don't need all the think pieces.
Speaking of think pieces, we got another one coming up for you. Talking about Chicago Fire.
But let's couch that. Let's say we're talking about Leagues Cup.
All right.
The Fire aren't popular enough right now. Anyway, punt that like button, baby.
We'll be right back.
We love you. Welcome back, fellow enemies of the Fire, and we are here to do the namesake of the podcast, talk about the Chicago Fire, which is a lie. We're going to mostly talk about Leagues Cup. Before we do, I just asked James, I was like, oh, crap, what did they do? And he's like, I don't know, I don't pay attention. And so...
that's the thing. I've lost some interest in the Chicago Fire. Not in MLS. I'm paying attention to MLS in general, but it's just like... Fire have kind of lost me, and then when I check in, and I did watch the 2 games ago. I did watch the Cincy game. I did watch some of it, and then and then I was like, oh, look at that! They might actually have a chance to make the playoffs. And then I check again. Now they're here in 14th place. They're within 5 points of a playoff spot, but still, it's just 14th out of 15th place in MLS is just not very inspiring.
With the last place team having 2 games in hand, by the way. Now,
wow.
I will say this, keeping in what is turning into a great tradition for the show, the Chicago Fire won a game, but it was during a double week, so we didn't even get to be happy when we talked about it, because then they just turned around and lost a fucking game. So,
and they lose to Miami.
I thought they were going to lose both games. So the Fire versus Cincinnati, they sniped a win, 1-0, which, they were never really the better team on the day, but Cincy was missing Acosta, which apparently they've never won without Acosta, which is kind of a wild stat. He's kind of goated in Cincy, which, I mean,
The Fire's form is horrendous, and it's absolutely embarrassing that the coach has not been canned yet. We
knew that wasn't going to happen.
We have significant. The last time we won 2 wins in a row was June 1st to June 15th. Those were 2 wins in a row against LA Galaxy and Toronto. Ever since then, ever since June 22nd, it's just lost to the Orlando City 4-2, lost to Seattle Sounders 2-1, win against Philadelphia 4-3, loss against San Jose 1-0, tie against New York City, New York City FC 0-0. Win against the red-carded Cincinnati 1-0, loss against a messy-less Inter Miami.
Yeah, I mean, Inter Miami's a good team. Both those teams are good teams, but that's the thing is, if the Fire were a good team, like 3rd or 4th place, that's how you snipe that game against Cincy. But they're just a bad team, so it's just such a pointless snipe.
Are they a bad team because of coaching, or are they a bad team because of talent allocation? Are they missing key pieces?
They are missing I think personally, when the coaches change this offseason, because it has to happen, because I swear to God, they made us sit through this. When the coaching change is made, they have the ability to be a good team with a lot of the pieces that are there. As long as they don't re-sign Gaston Jimenez and re-sign all these people who aren't very good, we should be fine. But
remember when everybody believed in Federico Navarro? Remember when everybody believed in Gaston? Remember when everybody believed in Andrew Gutman? There's certain players I still believe in.
Well, hold on. Gutman has been injured the entire season. It's been a wash on the back. Aragoni, that's the thing. We've got Aragoni, who's been playing Herculean. We've asked him to care, and he does. And then you had, oh my God, Somebody slapped me. I almost called him Shabilko. Then you have Kuipers, who's actually scoring goals. He's actually doing the thing we paid him to do. And then Brady and Guti and Marin Haile Selassie. I think those are your 6 players that you build, and you can make 4 signings so easily next year, but this offseason.
Is Guti good enough? Is Guti's just still too young? Are these just flashes? Should we come to expect more from Guti? Like, I'm wondering about Guti. Everybody, for the last 2 years, we've been saying Guti. And like, yes, he's come into being a decent player in MLS, but I don't know if he's the dominant player in MLS that people are pining him or wishing him to be.
I think when you are that talented, because I'm sure there's people who get washed out right away.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're that talented, you get at the very least a second chance. So his second chance is either move this offseason and get somewhere else with a second chance, or he gets his new coach and a few more signings, and he's on a decent enough team. You know what I mean? This year is his quote unquote second chance to really pop or turn into Kellen Rowe.
And where do you play him too? Because based upon his past few seasons, it's is he a winger? Is he the number 10? Oh, you have Shaqiri over 10. Here. Oh, it's like, and so that's another problem, is that you have Shaqiri in the way in some ways.
Do you think Shaqiri is going to play another minute for the Chicago?
He's back home.
He's back home.
Supposedly, I hear word on the streets he's registered for this League's Cup, so he might be playing against New York. He might be playing against Sporting Kansas City on July 28th at 8 p.m.
Are you okay? So I guess that's perfect, because there's not much else to say about the Fire that we haven't been screaming. Like, nothing has changed. Sure. That's the thing. Nothing has changed. Like, right. I feel bad. Like, I want to say more, but like, what else can you say about this team? Mm-hmm. And there are other people out there who are going to break down every tactic, and at this minute this happened. That's not us. So like, again, the perfect transition that I stepped all over to League's Cup. Are you going to watch that Chicago Fire versus Kansas City game? I'm torn.
Well, I don't know what game I am tuning into. Atlanta versus DC United. That's another MLS game.
So wait, hold on. That was partially my question. So are you on board for League's Cup? You're gonna watch.
What channel do you even watch it on? I don't think it's on Apple.
It's on Apple. 100. Oh yeah, that's why it exists.
Really?
For the Apple deal from last year. That's why, like, the whole reason this thing exists is for MLS to control a tournament and not be in the US Open Cup, and Apple control it with MLS and get the money.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be watching any of these games. I don't have any intentions to at the moment. Maybe, unless maybe we do a little watch party with the boys or something, but Club Tijuana versus LAFC, that could be fun, kind of fun. Puebla versus Inter Miami, there's no Messi. It takes a little bite out of that one.
There's no Messi.
It takes a little of the bite out of it. Houston versus Atlas, Mazatlan versus New England, Querétaro versus New York City, that could be fun. Leon versus Portland, that could be fun. Guadalajara versus San Jose, that could be
That'll be a bloodbath. That'll be a bloodbath. San Jose is a bad team, brother.
And the going theme here is I'm interested in the Liga MX versus the MLS, rather than just seeing more MLS versus MLS, which is what Sporting Kansas City versus Chicago is. But
fair. So do you have a moral objection to League's Cup?
No.
Like, I know you, huh?
No, I don't have a moral objection to it so much as a lack of interest in it.
Okay.
It's like I don't. So for some of these extra trophies, it's like it's like another JD Power trophy. We know how those are for Chicago Fire fans. It's like, oh great,
back to back, baby, back to back.
It feels like it doesn't feel like the shit that matters, but it's nice to get a trophy and a pat in the back, that's for sure. And that some fans really feel good about getting the trophy, rather because guess what, winning a trophy, very hard to do to win it all. So it is rare, and so you do celebrate those moments.
What do you feel about about the US Open Cup?
I'm kind of sad about it. But I care.
I know
about
my
it.
heart is with the US Open Cup. Like
Yeah.
I've watched that ever since I've gotten into soccer. That was the first game I ever went to, was a US Open Cup game.
I don't know. I care about it as much as I care about it for these leagues cup. I care about the league. I care about MLS.
Really?
I care about.
You don't care?
I don't care about these weird little. It's the same thing with basketball and the bubble, or the weird those little in season tournaments. It's like,
well,
I don't
that's
really
dumb
care.
because they have.
It's the same thing. Those are. It's the same thing as soccer.
No, because you play against different teams. The Open Cup is open to all the
That's
leagues,
what is
man.
cool, and seeing against different teams. But for some reason, it just doesn't ever feel like it matters. And where the league, it feels like it actually matters. Like when these guys are, well, maybe not just MLS, but I'm really equating it with EPL and La Liga and those times where every game does matter.
Yeah, but the FA Cup matters too, man. Like Copa del Rey matters.
To
Like,
who?
look, you are wearing right now on your chest the logo of the Kings of the Cup, baby.
And they wanted the double in their first year of existence.
Yes. Were you not?
But the US
Into
Open
that?
Cup, the US Open Cup was like, oh, it's good that they won that. I'm glad they won the league. That's why they got that star. That's why that star's up there. It's because of the league.
I feel like you're just being a contrarian just to be a contrarian.
I don't know.
My
It
heart
just
hurts.
feels like, I don't know. To me, some of these tournaments just feel like another Hallmark movie. It's just like here's another reason to tune in. And when I'm like, I got plenty of reasons to tune in already. It's just like,
Well, listen, I'll watch anything with Lacey Chabert. Now,
but at the same time, I don't mind them playing. But it's another time for me. It's like I value international tournaments more. I value international tournaments so much more. They're more entertaining for me.
I love the Open Cup. I can't believe you're saying this. It's like ripping my heart out. Like I was ready to be chastised for my position on Leagues Cup.
No.
And here you are like, I don't care about none of it, man.
I think about this. MLS Cup playoffs, they've been hard to care about. Like,
I disagree.
Without the fire in it. But
I love the playoffs.
I think I've watched actually the last 3 MLS playoffs though, and that's because they figured it out to make it a little bit more exciting. So it has.
Yeah,
a couple
years ago they had it right. A couple years ago they had it right. It was a full just one game knockout round. You know what I mean?
Did they have like some
that shit
novelty
right.
giant hot dog or some giant taco too or something?
I
Put it in the
feel
comments.
dumb. I feel dumb. I don't know what you're talking about.
I think there's like a giant novelty taco or something.
So I think I've said this before, but I talked about only the home game aspect of it. I was like, I said, with my season ticket, I was given the ticket for Fire versus Toluca, right?
And is that not at Soldier Field or at?
No, that's at Bridgeview.
Gonna be at Bridgeview.
So that's the thing is like, like for me, again, I'm kind of like, my heart's torn because I would rather Leagues Cup stop to exist and I would want the Open Cup to stay relevant and alive. I want that.
Well, it feels like that's why I care less about these tournaments, because they just keep dividing more and more. They keep taking this big cheese, they cut it in half, and then they cut it into quarters, and they cut into little 16ths, and before you know it, it's like they dilute it, and because they spread it out into all these little things.
I totally agree. Like that's always was my argument about the Gold Cup. Like
maybe it's also because I don't have enough time. I think also time is a factor because I have so much time that I'll care about the league because I've allotted that time into my life. I'm like, okay, there's other shit I got going on, but I have enough time to watch Fire taking on Inter Miami in MLS tonight. But
you got 2 hours a week.
But I don't have enough time to implement Chicago versus Sporting Kansas City for some bumfuck tournament that nobody, that half of, even that a quarter of the soccer fans care about. It's just, it's great that it's happening, but I don't know if I have time for it when there's so many other better products out there. When I'm already buying into the MLS product at the price of the full MLS league, the full league, it's like I don't need to buy into more MLS product. I'd rather reserve that time for Manchester United, or a little La Liga time, or a little check in what Christian Pulisic is doing over in Syria, and maybe use that time for different soccer products or different sport products rather than just continuing my sunk cost to MLS.
Well, I mean, yeah, there is a gang of soccer to watch on television.
There is, but at the same time, I do love my team, Chicago Fire. Support your local club, and I'll root for them if they're playing. But I don't think it's on me to watch what I don't have time for.
I am with you on that 100%. Like I said, I'm not gonna buy any more tickets to Leagues Cups games. I don't care how far they get in the tournament. I'm not gonna buy another ticket.
Though.
But I have the first one for free. I haven't been to Bridgeview in years.
Oh,
you know, like literally
fun.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like, and my girl's never been there. I've been telling her all about it. Like, I'm like, you gotta go. You gotta see it.
I think it'll feel special for everybody. I think that all the fans, a lot of the fans who will be like you, who are returning, I think they're gonna be like, oh, they're gonna have a little nostalgia belly.
Well,
I think you're gonna have a little nostalgia belly, chilling in the parking lot. You're gonna be like, okay, chilling in this parking lot is a little bit more cozy that in some ways than the daunting heights of Soldier Field. Soldier Field is a little intimidating to hang outside of with the size of everything. Although it's beautiful, there's something a bit more. I love it too. And you know, I'm used to it from all these Bears tailgates and stuff. And there's a certain home, like you almost feel home walking around Soldier Field, don't you? Like it's
nice. It's I liked them both, man.
That's the thing. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I do really miss some of the aspects of what Toyota Park or what SeatGeek, whatever you call the Bridgeview Stadium now, what it really was in the parking lot before you even got into the stadium.
Oh my God, it was, dude. That was the jam. And that was when I was younger as well. So I was partying, man. Like the tailgate for the Fire games back in the day was a thing, man. We'd bring the grill, like, you know, like I said, I wanted her to experience Bridgeview, and I got excited about it because I haven't been there in so long.
You felt the nostalgia belly, yeah.
Yeah, but there already has been releases from Red Line Supporters Group and Barn Burners that they will not be attending. Now,
bummer.
I mean, again, as an organization, I like that idea. I guess this is where I'm kind of claiming immunity here. I didn't buy shit for years. I didn't buy season tickets I held off from buying season tickets for 15 years. I greatly reduced the amount of swag I bought. You know, like I protested this team being terrible for years. I went to cup games. You know what I mean? Like I did different things to support this game. And like, I've got a free ticket to go to Bridgeview to see a soccer game. I'm going to do it. The Fire are playing and I have a secondary TV next to the one that my girl has got her TV show on. And I'm going to watch whatever game is on, you know, like I know it sucks and I want the Open Cup to be a thing, but like, I did my time. You know what I mean? Don't be yelling at me about it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, also for me, I even forgot MLB was playing. Like I'm like after April, after opening day, after 4th of July, after the All Star Game and stuff, and then I'm walking. I'm like, oh shoot, the Cubs and the White Sox are playing. Not each other. I'm just like, that's still going on. Like it feels like it's almost October and the playoffs happened and baseball's over. Hockey's going to be turning on. You got NFL just turning on with their OTAs. And NHL and NBA are going to be heating up in a couple months. But
it's going to be a crowded landscape here coming up soon.
All these different League Cups ended. EPL is now turning on as the transfer window is starting to come to. It's opening and already feels like it's closing because it only has like one.
Well, it's open already, but I haven't paid attention to it. I mean, I know Thiago Almada, who apparently allegedly got his shit stolen at the Olympics, moved down to Argentina.
Gone.
And then Atlanta pulled the wool over Chelsea's eyes and sold Caleb Wiley. I'm trying to see how much, but I don't remember. But it was a good amount of money for the kid. So.
And then a 14-year-old started in MLS. I heard that.
things are heating up, but like this is where MLS is part of a problem. Like I am that weirdo that will check out like a random ass game. I'm that weirdo who's like, wow, since he's good this year, I'll watch them play Columbus.
Yes, that's me too. If
I'm
there's
that
an
weirdo,
interesting game on, yeah.
But you still lose me. Like I won't sit every Saturday and watch 360 when the Fire are just terrible and ho hum and whatevering they're through a year. Like it sucks, man. It sucks the life out of you and the excitement. And then to your point, baseball's got their playoffs, basketball kicks off, like football, but I don't care about that. Then you have all the European leagues playing. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot fighting for your time, and most people don't have a lot of time. And, just I wish we had a better team to care about.
Yes.
Please. I'm begging you, please.
And that's what I wonder. It makes me wonder, is this simply a Frank Klopas / general manager Georg Heitz type of issue? Or is this maybe a little bit deeper with the team that they've created? And maybe it's not just Frank's not good enough. Maybe Haile Selassie's actually not good enough. Maybe some of these other players are actually just not good enough. But it seems weird because then they have these results against good teams, and then they have just
this is whatever.
They are whatevering to the point of where they're bottom 5 team in all of MLS. That they're not a top 5 team. There's 25 other teams ahead of them if they're bottom 3 MLS team, and they are.
Dude, we have 6 starters and 3 or 4 other serviceable MLS players. You can, with a better coach, you could build with a better coach and 2 transfer windows, you could build a better team.
All right.
A much better team.
I got a question for you here because we've got Chicago playing Sporting Kansas City Cup in the upcoming League of Cups match. Per chance they somehow beat Peter Vermees, right?
They will.
And they go on to play any Liga MX team. Is there any Liga MX team that they could even beat?
No, I have not paid attention to Liga MX in probably 5 years, and I still feel very confident in saying no instantly without thought.
Yeah,
I'm very comfortable with that. I have a feeling they're gonna beat KC. They're gonna get stomped by Toluca, and then they're gonna go to another game and get stomped by whoever they play. So I mean.
Oh, right. There's 3 matches. Wait. So it's already...
They're groups of 3 teams.
Oh, snap. I've seen their next game. Okay, their next game is Toluca, as you said.
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to go to.
And then...
I have to go straight from work. I have to get the neighbor to feed the cat to watch a terrible soccer team. Can you guys just not be terrible for a little bit?
How do I not see this last 3rd match? Where is it?
There is no 3rd match. That's then the knockout round. They're groups of 3 teams.
So you only have 2 matches?
Yes. And the top 2 teams in the group go through.
This doesn't make sense. There's 3 match days.
Yeah. So if the Fire win the group, which they won't, they play the winner of some other group. If the Fire gets second in the group, they play Columbus.
Great. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Oh, I love that enthusiasm. All right, you know what? Boycott Leagues Cup if you want.
No.
I support you right now. I'm gonna watch.
Give him a like on Twitter
because I don't.
It doesn't take much to fan.
I trust me. I support the U.S. Open Cup way harder.
Mm-hmm.
I am that weirdo. I have always been that weirdo. I know who Bobby Boswell is. I know what Roger Levesque is.
Roger Levesque.
You looking up Roger Levesque, the Seattle Sounder
I'm looking up the US
legend?
Open Cup to see what they just played a couple weeks ago, and looks like it's going to be
Sporting
Kansas City.
We're at the semifinals.
Whoa, Sporting Kansas City. Guess what? Peter Vermees making a statement once again. He's a tournament coach. Sporting Kansas City versus Indy 11. and Seattle Sounders versus LAFC. Final four.
I love it.
August 27th.
Indy 11 all the way, baby. We are
Let's go.
full on Indy 11 fans on this podcast, I believe.
Absolutely. I'll vote for them out of the Midwest. Go beat Sporting Kansas City. Send Peter Vermees home. And then
Team Chaos.
And then go beat Steve Cherundolo. And then Indy 11 coach will be like, hey, you should be looking at me, USMNT.
Why do you do that, Cherundolo?
Cherundolo.
Oh, man. You know what? The year was 2008. And I almost bought a Steve Cherundolo jersey just for the lulz. Because I was a fan.
Good. He was so good.
He was Mayor of Hanover.
He was one of my favorite players, him and Bocanegra. I was like, oh, we just got some great outside backs. I love him.
Dude, I actually laugh. I used to be like thinking in my head, like, wow, Onyewu and Bocanegra play so well together. They must be boys. And then like Onyewu had a podcast and they was trying to be like, they were talking about the top 50 MLS people that MLS did that list like the NBA did. And Bocanegra was on there. He's like, man, get Carlos Bocanegra out of here. I was like, whoa. My heart.
Really?
But
I want to hear more about
man.
that.
No, I don't think it was like hate. Like he was, it's not like, he was like, that was the argument. Like, was he great in MLS or was he just a real good player who happened to play there for a minute? So anyway, I know we got completely derailed. It's just this is literally what it's like to be a Fire fan. It's just like, oh, hey, they scored. Cool. Did we win? What happened? I don't know. I was talking to my buddies. It's just that time of the year because there's just no stakes. Nothing matters. You feel dirty watching the
There's no stakes. There's some stakes that matter.
Yeah, everyone starts at zero. Fabian Herbers for Golden Boot. Fire win the tournament.
For a team as in bad tatters as the Fire, I mean, it's a way to kind of get your team to get behind something. Same thing for Sporting Kansas City. Sporting Kansas City sucks.
Yeah, they're terrible.
They're as bad, almost as bad as the Fire. Let's see the points. They are worse than the Fire. They are top. So Fire are 5th worst team in MLS. Sporting Kansas City are 4th worst team in MLS. That's how the numbers are right now, points wise. And Peter Vermees is still getting far in this U.S. Open Cup. He's in the Final Four for the U.S. Open Cup right now.
You love Peter Vermees.
Well, look, he's producing. But dude, look what he does to keep his job. If he goes and wins U.S. Open Cup and loses an MLS, how do you fire the guy? How do you fire the
Because
guy?
you have to have a change, man. Something has to change there. Same thing with like Philly might not even hire a better manager than Jim Curtin, but they're gonna fire him just because it needs to freshen up.
Well,
like it needs to change.
Fire. Bring in Jimmy C.
Jim Curtin, listen, if and when, let's be honest, if and when we get Greg Berhalter, I'm not gonna be angry yet. Greg Berhalter gets a full year out of me, and then into the second year before I start to complain.
I might give Greg Berhalter to install his plan. I would be very excited. He was a former Columbus coach, which honestly, the run of Columbus coaches have been a lot better than the Fire coaches.
Well, I agree, but I'll say this: I would take Jim Curtin over Greg Berhalter, though.
Oh yes,
in a New York minute.
Not for the U.S. men's national team. I don't know. I would tell you who I'd take. I don't know if I'd take Jim Curtin over Berhalter.
Oh, for the national team, of course. You're insane, but for the Fire, 100% as well.
100%.
Jim Curtin, please come here, save me. I mean us.
And it's only because I don't want to. We've already had Berhalter, and so we don't need Jim Curtin for the U.S. men's national team.
I feel you. Well,
a lot of people don't want an American, but we were saying that there's a couple Americans out in Europe that might be actually good enough.
Well, Matarazzo is kind of the guy, right? But I'm still. We said it earlier tonight. I'm still Team Ponch, man. Pochettino.
That'd be fun.
Please.
That'd be so fun.
But it's gonna be Vieira. Vieira is gonna coach the U.S. and Greg Berhalter the Fire. Anyway, and on that sunshiny note, Hope everybody enjoyed this week. This was a lot of fun. I don't know if you noticed the third guy missing in this last segment. DPG just has children. That'll be the explanation. GPG has children.
Yeah.
And so this was a fun one. James, thank you for being here.
Thanks for delaying a day. Last week I got sidelined by the tornadoes.
Oh yeah. That was wild. I can't believe that was just last week. So much has happened in the world in the last 14 days.
It's like we lived like 18 lives. It's so crazy.
We're truly on.
What's that meme that they say? Like they keep saying like it's like each new day has been like the craziest day of our lives.
Yeah, exactly. Can we just have a boring day for once? Anyway, a boring day with a fire win. Can I have that?
And some apple pie,
anyway,
ice cream nachos and
ice cream nachos. On behalf of the Enemies of the Fire podcast, thank you for being here. Like, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Comment. We have a lot of fun here, man. James, you got anything for the people?
Help us defeat the YouTube algorithms. Take that like button in your hand like a ball or a watermelon, whatever you want to just bam, punt that. And we'll see you guys next time here on Enemies of the Fire. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Later.